Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com where music comes to life. And my guest today just has one of the most best and most distinct voices in the melodic rock genre. His band Honeymoon Suite released their debut record 40 years ago, and they're still going strong. On February 16th, they'll release their long awaited new record called Alive. Please welcome Johnnie Dee. Welcome,
Hey,
John.
Jeff, that was a beautiful introduction. What are you, a radio host? I'm just kidding. That
You
was
know,
nice.
in
Thanks.
another life, probably.
Okay, no, that was great. And I was just telling you earlier, all these guitars behind you, and you build the damn things. Okay, so cool. Off to a great start. Good morning to you. And I hope I don't bore your listeners. I just want to say, what's that? The Dirt, that movie, The Dirt, the Motley
Yeah.
Crue thing. Have you seen? So I watched that last night, and I go, "Geez, we're not that band. We're so freaking clean compared to them." And it's like it kept me awake, you know. Ah, geez. Anyways, that was the extent of my evening here in the snow, you know, in an ice bucket, right?
Yeah,
So,
well,
so
we're
cool.
got the same going here in Connecticut at the moment too, so I feel
Okay,
you. But so now I mentioned that fans have been waiting quite a while for Alive. Your last
oh,
record, Clifton Hill, came out in
right.
2008, but the first single from Alive, Tell Me What You Want, it came out all the way back in October of 2019.
That's
Find
right.
What You're Looking For in June of 2020.
Right.
What took so long to get to the full record coming out?
Um, Mixing, logistics. If I recall, I couldn't get back to England to go see Mike Crumpus to finish vocals on account of flying because of the pandemic, all that sort of stuff. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but it took us back. Anyways, so we said we got to get this thing done. So I started doing vocals in small little studios in Ontario, in and around Toronto, in this little beach town that I live in, and then sent them off. That was the only way we can finish it. There's so many different variables that stop a record from getting released. I mean, it's technical, it's business, it's a lot of different stuff. But we finally, Frontiers came on. We weren't sure. We had our first meeting and they said, we really want to take your band on. And I go, well, um, you got like 70 bands coming out or something like that at the same time. I go, where are you going to put Honeymoon Suite? And I go, this record is too important for it to get shelved. And then he goes, no, no, no. Anyways, they came back at us and I got to hand it to Frontiers at this point right now. It's like me talking to you and, it's getting out there and people are going to know about it. So we're proud. And back to your question, why it took so long. It just did.
But I think one of the great things about this record is that for the most part, it's the classic Honeymoon Suite lineup.
Oh,
It's yourself, Derry, Dave Betts on drums, Gary Lalonde on bass, Peter Nunn, who's been part of the band in and out for a long time
wow.
on keys.
You know your stuff. Go ahead.
Does it feel different for you when you're recording and playing alongside this classic lineup, the guys who have been through it with you for all these years?
Well, of course, they're my friends. They're family, right? So that's all good. But no, just let me backtrack. I'm going to try to answer your question. Yeah, it feels great. I mean, like on stage, we're a family up there, and it's like people in the crowd, they know it. It's like, yeah, we're doing our thing. We're not making records on stage or anything, but it's a family up there. But back to the recording of it, and back to what this record is. Our producer Mike Crumpus, wanted to take the band on. And we went to Nashville where he was at the time. He said, basically, what kind of record do you want to do? And I said, look, I want to get really close to the itty gritty of what Honeymoon Suite is. And I think we hit it off the first album. We hit it off the big prize record. I said, give me a big prize record, give me those horns, give me all that sort of stuff. Anyways, we went back to his studio. We recorded a song. Just the Derry came up with that riff. "Done Doing Me" is the title track,
Mhm.
right? And we laughed. Drums done. The riff, the whole deal. No vocals. But over that night, the next day, I walk into the studio and it was like bang, bow, 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 and then the horns come in, and then it's like, oh yeah, the drums are clear, everything's clear. There's not a bunch of guitars, and then the vocal was just easy, when it's like that, no junk in it. It was just great.
And the reaction to the two singles that came out previously was really strong. You guys, especially
Oh,
up in Canada, you saw a lot of success. As
right,
you said, there's a buzz about this record.
right.
After 40 years, do you appreciate the success you're seeing with Alive a little bit more now than when you were in the thick of it as a kid back in the big prize days?
Thanks, Jeff. That's a great question. Of course, I appreciate it more. First of all, let me go back to the beginning. New Girl now. So I had Honeymoon Suite going prior to Derry coming into the band. Um, how do I say this? Anyways, my manager and agent set me up with. He said, "Go meet this guy, this Derry Grand dude." So I picked him up. He was rehearsing with some other band. Gets in my car, doesn't say a word, right? I know what the frig is this guy. Um, anyways, we got to talking. I basically said, "Hey, I'm Johnny. Whatever, manager set me up with you. You got any songs?" So he played this track, and he started singing, and he sang through a megaphone, right? And I go, "This is a great song, but you need a singer." Anyways, that long story short, that one did really well for us, New Girl Now, then Burning in Love, Stay in the Light, Wave Babies. But now the writing, he was coming up with a lot of the ideas. Like he had them in the bag already. I did my stuff. But on this record particularly, it was like, okay, Johnny, step up to play. Do your stuff. Say what you need to say. So, do I appreciate the success of what's going on right now? Of course I do. Like, it's like that done doing me is my title. Love comes. That's my top line. And Afraid to Fall. Those are songs that, are in my guts that I had something to say and I said it.
Yeah. And looking back on the 40 years of the band, the first record came out in July of 84, and that was
Wow.
really a watershed year in music. LA is starting to explode. On the East Coast, Bon Jovi just releases their first record. But you guys come down from Canada with a sound that combined all of it. Were you
Well,
influenced by what was going on the coasts here when
first
you guys
first of
put
all,
that first record together?
all right. Well, first of all, the first record you're talking about,
Yeah.
were they influences? I don't know. I just what was going on? I don't know. Everything like just like here, get in the studios and here lay those drums and start singing. Was I influenced by all that other stuff? I was touring. I started this band and playing like 3 nights, 3 sets in one night, and it was like finally, we're in the studio. So did everything just came into play. Like everything just happened the way that it was. There was no path to take. It was just all. It just came out.
Yeah. And so the first record, you had a decent hit with New Girl Now.
Right,
With the second record for Big Prize, you bring in Bruce Fairbairn to produce.
right,
And Bruce, he already had a lot of success with those first three Loverboy records.
right.
But the Big Prize was really a turning point, I think, not only for you, but for him as he went on to do Slippery When Wet.
Exactly. Shot through
What
the heart. Okay, okay.
what did Bruce bring to the band that let you take such a big leap for the Big Prize?
I don't know. He was just meticulous. Okay. We started pre-production in Toronto, and it was like, okay, Ray Coburn would start playing "Feel It Again," and we do like, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and he kind of like just wrote a bunch of stuff down, right? And then, okay, that's enough. And then we started doing "Wounded." He goes, Johnny, what's the vocal for this? And he writes his little stuff down, right? And what sort of influence did he bring? Oh, geez, the horns, the drums, the sound at Little Mountain Studios in Vancouver. And he brought a lot. Can I say it specifically? It was magical. That's all.
And then for Racing After Midnight, you guys switched to Ted Templeman, who had
Right,
a ton of success with Van Halen. You
right,
guys moved down to LA to record for the first time.
right.
What was that like for you guys
Okay.
working with Ted and heading to
Well,
LA rather than
first of all,
recording at
Ted
home?
Templeman being Van Halen's manager, it's like Derry is such an Eddie Van Halen fan. It's like, yeah, got to do it. Being in Los Angeles with Ted working at Warner Brothers at the time, like we're talking business here, but hey, yeah, our manager said, hey, go do this. A lot of things came from it. Working with Ted was, okay, record the drums, record the bass. You do your magic out there. Johnny, go sing. Okay, see you later. See you in a couple hours. that kind of thing. So he let us go with the whole deal. His engineer was like really rocky, and it was like, was it Honeymoon Suite? It was very close to it. I mean, my voice was on it. And then just let me say this. So I left the studio because I get studio bored real quick, and I came back to Toronto. But anyways, there was this movie coming out, Lethal Weapon. Okay, Lethal Weapon, and they sent me this track that Michael Kamen wrote. It's called Lethal Weapon. And I listened to it on the phone. I go, Ted, really? This ain't no Honeymoon Suite song. And we didn't write it. I'm just telling you. And I'm saying, I just can't sing this. And he goes, come back to the studio, get behind the microphone, do whatever you think is right. And I did. I switched it all around, or did what I, well, not switched it all around, but made it my own, and it worked. And yeah, I got in Lethal Weapon, the first movie. It came in, we sent it in late. So you watch the movie and then all the credits go down, and finally our song comes up. But hey, back to what I said, working with Ted was a good in in to get our tracks, into the movies and stuff like that, because he worked at Warner Brothers LA, right? And they say, hey, you got to go to LA to do something. So I did, and got hit by a car there too,
Yeah.
right? Jesus,
Yeah, there was that.
right.
That was
Well, that hurt.
a thing.
And that was looking out for number one was coming out, and it's like I had to do a video, and I said, "Let me drive the motorcycle." No, you can't, insurance reason. I let me on the freaking motorcycle. I just got on it and did a shot. Anyways,
Yeah, and following that in 91 was Monsters Under the Bed, again with
right.
another great producer, Peter Northfield, who
Oh,
worked with Rush. He did one
right,
of my all-time favorite records in Operation Mindcrime.
right,
But now the band's lineup changed, the
right,
music scene in general was changing.
right.
As you were putting it together, did it kind of feel like the beginning of the end of that period?
Yes, it did. Well, you just said music changed. We had fulfilled our contract with Warner's Canada, WIA, Electra Atlanta, all that sort of business stuff after a 10-year, whatever, so record. So yeah, you'd listen to the radio and everybody's like screaming at you, right? It's like all this like grunge sort of stuff. And it's like, what's going on? And anyways, we still made that record the way we wanted to make that record. We had Derry and I decided, why don't we just try some different players? And you know what? We did the record. It's a great record. Northfield was amazing. Ray Coburn was on him like every day, meticulously. We recorded at, you mentioned Rush. I believe they have a studio called Le Studio. Is that it? Anyways, we recorded there, and the record, there's some really great tracks on it. We opened up our set many times with Say You Don't Know Me, but now we're opening it up with Find What You're Looking For. So, anyways, no, those were good times.
And now back to Alive. You guys have a lot of Canadian dates on the books throughout the
Right,
years. Any chance of
right.
doing a bigger tour and coming down here to the US?
Please, please, please. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna play, well, there's a show in Rochester, there's another one in Chicago. You gotta check. I don't have it in front of me, but we're starting to get into the US because people are coming out. We did a couple shows with Aldo Nova, and then the guys were saying we got to change our setup. I go, no, we're not going to change our setup. And we do sings along, like a song, like sing-alongs, and like Stay in the Light, for example. We'll break it down, see who's going to sing the track with us, and the guys go, they don't know the song. I go, look, if two people out of those 5,000 people know the song, I'll bring my microphone right to them, right? And so that's what we do. That's what I do. I don't change a thing. And so far it's worked out good. And yeah, there's a bunch of shows coming up. I know because I have to do those P2s to get across the border, you know. And it's like, okay, so we got a 6 month visa or whatever. So they're coming in.
Good. Hopefully we can catch you. And
Well,
you
that'd
know,
be great. Thanks, Jeff.
and we mentioned too, this is the 40th anniversary of the band. So in addition
40
to the new
years.
record, do you have anything special you're going to be doing to celebrate that, or is it just going to be around the new record?
Celebrate it. I don't want to think, it's gone by like so quick. I'm so happy that we're getting the traction that we are on this new record for a band like us. Um, First of all, you got classic rock music
Mm.
stations that don't play new music. Am I looking for this big, get together of 40? No, let's just get out there and play and play as many tracks on this record as I possibly can, and hopefully something will come of it. So far, people are liking it, and that's good enough for me at this point.
Yeah. Well, we've been spending some time here with Johnnie Dee. The band is Honeymoon Suite. The record is called Alive. It's really good. If you're a fan of
Oh,
this band, this is everything you would hope they would do. It's out everywhere February 16th. And Johnny, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Just thank you
thanks,
so
Jeff.
much for taking the time.
Hey, maybe you'll build me a guitar or something like that. I'll send you a piece of wood and you deal
You
with it.
got it.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.